On this episode of Star Trek Universe Strange New Worlds tries to pull a smile, but does it succeed? Does it succeed? We're reviewing Strange New Worlds 405, Level 5 Transporter Accident. No strings attached. Right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get to listen in on two lifelong friends sit and chat about Star Trek like we always do. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I'm David Z. Robertson. What up?
Not much, man. Not much. We got a new Star Trek episode to talk about. Or do we?
If you say that, if you say so, sure.
Okay, my quick take on the puppet episode. This is a terrible Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
It's a great fucking Sesame Street episode.
Yeah. The puppetry itself was great. Like,
it's wonderful.
They worked with Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Like,
oh, nice. I didn't know
that was the fucking saving grace of the episode.
I like I said, terrible Star Trek episode, not what I'm here for. This entire season I've been saying that. This isn't what I come to Star Trek for. But puppet episode, great. They did a lot of funny things with the puppets. They did just like it's you know, whatever 9-year-old Matt would have loved this. I don't know. I love puppets to this day. Like, I don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoyed. It was nostalgic and fun to see the puppets, like, and to see them on the actual Star Trek ship, like doing the shaky camera, like straight up Muppet like panic, and them floating out in space. It really did remind me so much of everything from my puppet loving childhood. And I loved that. It was very pleasant. Like I said, terrible Star Trek, wonderful hour of television. Like, I really enjoyed it.
See, the thing for me though, you know, it's like you said it was funny. I didn't think so. I didn't think none of the jokes landed for me. I was
I don't mean funny. The jokes weren't funny. Let me say that. The jokes aren't funny. So right. It isn't funny on that level. It's funny purely like seeing the visuals are funny, like the panic of them, like when the bridge is attacked and they're all, you know, run around. It was like that, like putting puppetry in the middle of Star Trek and having them act like puppets and do the, like when the little ensign is hiding below the console and he's just like just shaking. It's like it's like they became full on like puppet caricatures, but at the same time they didn't, except for Pelia, which like I thought was very funny, like the fact that they just went full on like animal with her. Like, she just looked insane. She didn't look like a version of herself exactly. She looked like more creature than the rest of the crew, you know what I mean?
I'll be honest, it took me about half the episode before I realized that she was supposed to be a puppet.
Yeah. I thought she was a delight, honestly.
But yeah, the writing was rough on this one. Like, even at the beginning, and by the way, this is the beginning, so not part of Spock's dream.
Right.
And Spock is doing the his little log, and he says, "Enterprise had been heading to Vulcan, where I had planned to spend time studying logic." And I'm like, you're throwing in all the has been, had been, like, this is like first grade sentences. And I'm like, there's no specific Vulcan discipline, like just logic, just studying logic as if you can't look it up on the fucking computer on the Enterprise. And like, I don't know, it's just like, it felt like a 5-year-old wrote that line and wrote that premise. Like, well, he will be heading to Vulcan so he can study logic.
Yeah.
Well, you see what I'm saying? Like,
it's weird because logic. Okay.
It's an ongoing study for him.
It's an ongoing study, yes. But in this episode, I truly believe it's being used as a euphemism.
Yeah, because like the whole dream thing.
Yeah, we've got to address the dream thing at some point.
Yeah, so the whole dream thing, like, I feel like it is Spock's subconscious making something out of his constant struggle between logic and emotion and trying to learn how to control the chaos of being on the ship. And that kind of fits perfectly with the puppet logic. Like, they're effective against the Orions in the dream. as long as they use puppet logic or puppet physics and puppet solutions.
Figuring out puppet is sort of a metaphor for emotional relationships between himself and all these humans, and how interacting with the crew is its own type of chaos, and this crew operates on a different kind of decision-making process than the logic he was raised in, and there's a lot of little metaphors going on with that. I agree.
I would love to, by the way, give them credit for being as clever as that, but they stole it right from TNG's Rascals when there was a transporter accident, turned them into children, and they got invaded and defeated them the same basic way, learning to use the physics of being a child, and they just took it from Rascals. Anyway,
sure. but the difference here is that it's being used as a way of interacting with Spock and his brain and what he's thinking.
Which we haven't had ever on this show in several episodes. Charades.
What do you mean?
Spock Amok, or Wedding Bell Blues, or the Griffin Incident, or fucking Human Best Friend, which was this season.
Yeah.
It's wacky fucking circumstance to get into Spock's head and about his bullshit with being human. Oh my God.
Right.
Y'all are just, anyway.
Yeah. I'm with you. It's like I said, terrible Star Trek episode. What I was saying, the euphemism of it all, there's a real vibe that getting in touch with logic again just means going and having sex with T'Pring. Yeah. That's what it is. He has this thing at the beginning of where he's hanging out with La'an, and clearly he's been embracing his more human side while he's been hanging out with La'an. And they break up, and she's like, we've been on different paths a while, and he's like, well, it's really been helping me clear my mind. And it was so the dance classes are just a pure euphemism for sex. They're just saying that their dance lessons have really been helping me clear my mind. And then he's like, I need to reconnect with logic, T'Pring. Can I come visit you?
Yeah.
And then they have that conversation again and then start making out. It's just a one-to-one, I need to reconnect with logic means I need to date a Vulcan and have a relationship that grounds me in Vulcan, and it's epitomized through kind of a sexual relationship with T'Pring. It's very weird. That is very weird, especially for the puppet episode.
Well, yeah, but when he broke up with T'Pring, he was like, I must study my humanity and get in touch with my human side. Yeah, and he started fucking Christine.
Exactly. This is. I did not realize how much this episode just drove it home for me. They're just using he is bouncing around from relationship to relationship, using it as a way of exploring different sides of himself, which isn't an untrue thing that people do. It's kind of an unhealthy behavior, though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I feel like we're taking this episode more seriously than they did, though.
I think that's true of all Star Trek.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. The interesting thing about it being a dream, we were talking about that a moment ago. I generally, that trope is hated. The none of this actually happened trope.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see it, I'm always kind of oh, really? I just watched an hour of television. Now you're telling me it didn't happen. That's just annoying. Yeah. It's a reset. It's a whatever.
That would be something a Star Trek fan specifically would complain about.
Sure, yeah.
You mean I've been watching all of this the whole time and it was fiction? It's not real?
I just mean it doesn't add to the storyline that we're telling.
I know.
Yeah, I know. But in this particular scenario, this is the rare occasion where it happened. I did not mind that it was all a dream.
Yeah.
And in many ways, I was relieved that it was a dream.
Oh,
because I think this episode is so bonkers and out there that it felt, and that annoyed me though. I said it last week. I was like, somebody better die in this puppet episode. And when Pelia got cut in half, I said, we joked about Pelia dying last episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, is she gonna die? And is it gonna ground the episode in some seriousness? That's what I wanted. I wanted Smile Time was not a serious episode. The Buffy and the Angel Puppet episode. was not a serious episode, but they treated the danger kind of seriously, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like it was treated like a real episode of Angel that like then they, and this one kind of did that, but in a really slapsticky, silly way that like I never felt any real danger. And yeah, I don't know. And then the fact that they literally couldn't die was almost like a slap in the face to what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all being a dream. So it all being a dream was just kind of like, okay, I was actually very relieved when it was all a dream.
Well, I liked the fact that it was a dream, and that's part of the reason I thought it was somewhat clever. Because I was like, okay, well, it's all about Spock's subconscious and what he's going through. So this is how it plays into that.
It means a little more when it's all his subconscious.
And then like Cynical Dave slid in and said, well, maybe it was a dream because they couldn't figure out how to make the show work any other way. Like, when did the Orions board? How can Puppet Pike maneuver in fucking outer space? Like, how are the the puppets are changing locations? And then they're like, how do we leave the room? I'm working on that, Captain. You just left the room to save Pike from being out in fucking space.
100%. There's multiple things in the logic of the episode, and like that's the thing. I was watching it, going like, wait. They said that like they talk about how Spock can't use the chair. That's like the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Spock can't use the chair. Then the whole episode becomes about him getting to the chair to turn off life support.
Yep. They never explain how.
Never explain. And like all that was annoying. So I was getting like these build up of little annoyances like that. Obviously the talking in space, which they hang a lantern on, the swimming through space. None of it makes sense. And I was like, well, that's because they're puppets. Okay. And like in the sort of way that, the musical episode has its own logical like why are they able to all know the same song, you know, that sort of stuff, but it's made sense of by the conceit of the episode. Some of this stuff does not make sense on the conceit of the episode. Them being puppets doesn't make them be able to talk in space or swim through space or whatever. Right. So these things were building up in my brain as little annoyances throughout the episode. I was like, all right, I'm letting it have it because it's a puppet episode. I'm letting it have it because it's a puppet episode, whatever. And then at the end, when he woke up, I was like, oh, okay. All those things that didn't make sense but it would have been so much better if they had made me feel like it wasn't a dream, or like that it did. They made the internal logic of the dream make sense. I would have felt better about it, and I wouldn't have been annoyed throughout the episode so much.
Of course, outside of the dream, Scotty still thinks Declan would wet himself seeing the puppet, which is just silly.
Well, hold on. Scotty grew up. This puppet was like a torture thing.
I'm going to say that.
No, it makes sense. Like Scotty grew up. His brothers hid it in his room, which like that's not that big a deal. But to a child it is. But if you're a Starfleet officer, you haven't seen this puppet since the academy, and it suddenly appeared in your room. Yeah, you would be scared. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, "What the hell? This creepy puppet just appeared in my room from 20 years ago, or whatever, or 10 years ago. I don't know how old they're."
All right, I didn't think about it from that angle. I thought it was like, "Hey, you know, transmission from the Enterprise. We're beaming something over." Declan's like, "All right, dope. What the fuck is that?" You know, like,
no. I think the idea was he wasn't going to tell him. He was just going to it teleported in as a prank almost, but also to prove that he's the best, you know, transporter engineer.
All right. Well, now explain this. Pike can't.
No, hold on. I don't want to be the guy who's saying this episode is logical. There's a lot of stupid shit in this episode. It's a dream. I don't have to, but that particular thing I thought made sense.
Pike can't be concerned. Can't do his job as fucking captain. Can't worry about the Orion pirates because he has a new chair.
Yeah.
That made me so annoyed.
Yeah. Well, I think it was also that I agree with you. There was a moment where there's pirates in this area, but he also just like wasn't worried about them because they're Orion pirates, and like this Enterprise isn't that fearful of that level of a threat. Mm-hmm. But once they're puppets and they can't control the ship, it becomes a problem. That's the way I understood it.
Weirdly, I think if they had handled it just a little differently, I would have been delighted. Like if she's like, yeah, you're not at all concerned about the Orion pirates, and he's like, oh, I'm very concerned. In fact, I think it's a perfect opportunity to try out my new chair. You know, like if it had been like, oh yeah, I'm very excited about this.
Well,
Like,
and that's kind of the way I took it was it like there's pirates in the area, but I've got my new chair. I can bring up shields so easily. Look at this, bloop, bloop. That would have been kind of cute and funny. But that's what that's what I was thinking when he said I've got my new chair. Like I'm a tactical master now. I can control the whole ship from right here.
yeah.
Then at the end, they decided they didn't like the chair anymore. Like that didn't make any sense. Like,
And that was in the dream.
oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, so I guess he does keep the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one big plus to this episode, one major great thing about this episode, Joe Latruglio as an Orion pirate.
Oh, absolutely. I wrote down Rachel Harris as well. I love her as well.
Who's Rachel Harris? I didn't. Is she the main pirate?
She's
the
been in a
captain?
ton. Yeah, she was the captain, and she's been in a ton of stuff. But she was the therapist on Lucifer. That's how I.
Oh, I don't know. I never saw Lucifer.
She's been in a bunch of stuff though. She's great. She's always.
I'm
great.
looking at her IMDb. I don't recognize her from anything, but that's cool.
Yeah, but no, I love me some Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well.
Yeah, Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of my favorite characters, and he was delightful in this. Like his whole conversation with Spock, and like it was like that was the funniest moment in the episode, and it was a like 5-minute scene with no puppets. And that was definitely the funniest part of the episode. Just Joe Latruglio being like, if she were an Orion, she'd tell you what to do. And if you were an Orion, you would do it. Like, that's such a funny thing to like, it's just it's a great line. It's so funny. And like, it fits within the Star Trek universe. It all makes sense. Like it is Boyle being kind of Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but like in a way that makes absolute sense. And I absolutely loved it. And just seeing him in the outfit and everything, it was great.
Yeah, that was the one part that I was like sad that it wasn't canon because I loved him so much.
Me too.
And I loved Rachel Harris so much. And like but yeah, the line that really got me with him was, I like being told what to do. I
love it.
I just love him.
I do too. I really do, and I'm glad Rachel Harris is someone that you're a fan of as well. I don't know her, but I love Boyle. Joe Latruglio. I did like the line, Scotty turned us into puppets. Absurdity is kind of baked into the premise.
That line annoyed me.
Oh,
because I was just like, oh my god, it's just meta shit. Like it's just so much. Like it's like now T'Pring are the fans complaining about this episode. and that is what's her face explaining it, been like,
yeah,
absurdity's baked to the premise. It annoyed me.
I totally agree with you, but it didn't annoy me. I liked that it was just like taking on the whole thing and just saying to people who are like thinking it's too silly, it's a puppet episode. Like the fact that we can do this doesn't matter.
And dream or not, it doesn't matter. Fuck off with the T-Walk reference, man, with the Wrath of Khan reference. The glass.
Oh, yeah.
The glass and needs of the many.
The fact that it was a dream, I'm fine with.
So Spock is just like, is just reading the future now? Like he just knows the future subconsciously?
That's what Spock would say in a situation like that. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, you know?
But
like that's what he would say.
In his dream.
In his dream. His brain came up with all of that. Like, I understand what you're saying. It is annoying from a canon perspective to think about him having this vision of a thing that's never happened. But it isn't that. It's Pike getting thrown out the airlock and starting to say a thing that Spock knows well. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like that isn't really probably something Pike would say. It's a concept Pike would probably agree with in the end, the needs of the many, but that's a Spock quote. It's almost like a clue that it's inside Spock's brain.
Of course, there's something I fall on one or I could go either way on this. I'm on the fence. Like, I love how much they lean into Vulcan mysticism in especially the TOS movies, somewhat in TOS, but especially in the movies, where like you get this idea that maybe they do have some sort of powers that are, at the very least, just not explained by science. But I'm fine with that. And if they had leaned heavier into Spock might be having something of a vision,
right?
It just doesn't fit the tone of this episode, but and it may have given away that it was a dream. But as just a thing that's in Spock's head, that's just like, oh, God, you didn't have to make that fucking reference. Like, do y'all not know how? Like, that's one thing I really hate about new Star Trek in general is like how much they like lean on the Wrath of Khan.
100%. This era of Star Trek did not learn the lesson of TNG, and we've talked about it a million times, so I don't want to like over focus on it, which is TNG barely referenced the original series for like the first couple years, and really even after that, like it just doesn't, like there's a few episodes where you're like, hey, it's neat that this guy showed up. One of 26, there's an original series character that pops up. Great. And I think it only happens twice over however many 100 and something episodes. So like it's very rare. And obviously there's little other things. I guess there's 4 episodes that I can think of.
We got Dr. McCoy Encounter at Farpoint.
Relics,
we got Spock in
Reunification parts 1 and 2, and Relics with Scotty. So
and Sarek with Sarek.
Oh, right, that's true. It's true. So I was thinking the original crew, but yeah, that's true. So there's 5 total original series characters that I can think of that show up. We can think of that show up. Like, and it's only those 5 episodes over like I forget how many, but it's like 140, 150
something
episodes.
Crazy, yeah.
So like that is. Not that the little references don't happen. I mean, every time there's a fucking transporter, it's technically a reference, but that's just living in the same world. This like over-reliance on the references. I'm with you. I think it's stupid. But it being a puppet episode, I give it a little leeway. It being a dream, I give it a little leeway. And like, I do like Pike as a puppet, putting his hand up and starting the sentence and then getting sucked out the airlock. It's nice. I like it. It was funny to me. And it's funny in this just like very like nostalgic way of like puppet cinema. And it really did feel like a Sesame Street, like if Sesame Street had been brought onto the set of the Enterprise to do a segment for Sesame Street. You know what I mean? Like not for Star Trek, but like back in the day, they used to do stuff like that where like Sesame Street or the Muppet Show or whoever would do a Star Trek parody. And it felt like that. More than it felt like a Star Trek episode. And I love that. That's always fun to see.
Even if they had, I'd be better with it even if it was just like they started the episode with like Puppet Pike being like, please enjoy this lovingly non-canon puppet parody of Strange New Worlds. And like the whole thing was just like a silly puppet thing. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I would still be like, why'd you waste an episode on this?
Yeah, that's the thing. I love that this exists. It's fun, but like you've got freaking 10 episodes and I am so annoyed at the first 4 now. Is this 4 or 5?
Yeah, 5.
So little of what I want from this show has happened in 5 episodes. And like the little bit I have enjoyed has been like the kind of Star Trek I want, has been really me just pulling that thread, trying to connect with it in the way that I like to connect with Star Trek.
I'm like, where's that Cybok episode they teased? Where like, what are we doing, y'all?
Yeah. I just keep thinking about like the other shows that I love right now that are like absolutely amazing. Severance is a show that I think is absolutely amazing. It's constantly there's interesting developments. It's all in one single sort of storyline, of course. And I'm just thinking about the writing on those shows and what they do for me and like my brain and how it like makes me think about the moral questions and the like practical questions and makes me feel like the characters are truly trapped and makes me feel like every moment is like another danger they're stepping into. Pluribus is another one. Like I just, these shows that I'm thinking like right now are just killing it every episode. And then I think about Star Trek, my very favorite show that I grew up feeling that way about. And now I'm getting nothing but silliness from, and it just really depresses me.
Yeah. And the great thing is like, you talked about Smile Time earlier, from Angel season 5.
Mm-hmm.
And something that was the first thing either of us saw of Angel,
the Buffyverse, yeah.
And hooked us. And that was also written by Ben Edlund, who created The Tick, and is just one of the funniest people in the world, as far as writing is concerned. So, but one of the great things about the overarching structure of that season and the way that show did it was, you would get an episode like Smile Time, and you're like, that was absolutely silly and ridiculous, but it works within the universe because magic. But then the next episode and all the episodes leading up to the end are absolutely devastating.
Right. And
characters
that's the thing.
Dying,
the entire season,
end of the world shit.
The entire season is that way, and it's like the 5th season. It's the big finale. Everything's building. Everything is like building toward this big finale, and they take a break to be silly, and that's very relieving and very like, whew, it feels great. And then it's just that's such a different vibe here. It just makes me sad because I think about DS9. And how much I love DS9 and how much it was pushing on the like frontier's edge of what TV was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is telling me, this episode could have been written in the 70s, and performed in the 70s. And it would have felt completely at home in a 70s style Muppets meet Star Trek episode. Like, it doesn't feel like anything new. And nothing in this season has felt like anything new. It's all just I meant to. Oh gosh, I was at a party. I was trying to think if it was a listener or someone in my real life. Someone in my real life. I went to a party the other day. Let me just say this was very pleasant. I went to a pool party. Hoping to scope out some hot babes in bikinis.
Of course, as you do.
As I do. And then I get there.
As a 12-year-old boy, yes.
As the 12-year-old boy that I am. No, I get to this party. It is me, a pool party, which I think is funny anyway, because like I do feel like pool parties are sort of inherently need to be mixed gender. Just because it feels weird, but I got there and it was just 10 dudes sitting on a back porch, and the one lady of the house who lives there, but every other guest was male, and when we pull in,
of course we're all men. Want to make sure it didn't get weird.
we pull up, and my wife even couldn't make it. Like, I went and I get there and there's just like 10 dudes in the backyard, and I sit down. Every one of them was a Star Trek fan. And wait, somebody mentioned it because I knew one of them was a Star Trek fan, so we started talking about it. Every one of these 10 people was up on every episode of Strange New Worlds this season. We talked in depth about the entirety of Star Trek, including all of these episodes and what we are and aren't liking about Strange New Worlds. And I was just like, where am I right now? I didn't know any of you knew or liked Star Trek, and I'm in a room with 10 people who like Star Trek. This is so weird. It was great. It was wonderful. But one of the guys brought up how like the first 4 episodes of this season of Star Trek were all movies.
Mm-hmm.
It was The Hangover,
Event
Horizon, Casablanca, and then there was I'm forgetting what the 4th one was, but it was like, oh yeah, we had mentioned some of that, but like the fact that all 4 were different movies is like, yeah, that's what they're doing this season. They're just and now we got the Muppet movie here.
Yeah. I feel like Henry Alonso,
Jurassic Park was the other one, which I didn't as much agree with, but
yeah, that's a stretch. I wonder if the guy that's writing the showrunner is just like doing episodes based on stuff that he likes, like because Community did a puppet episode as well, and they're super meta.
Sure,
and you're just like, is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, and
I don't know what's happening.
That's the thing. That's what Community was. And this show is like, we got a comedy Star Trek series that was based in Rick and Morty, basically. And now I do kind of feel like we're doing Community for Star Trek. Like that's what this is. And that's just, again, like it's not all bad. It is what it is. They're doing fine at what they're making and trying to make the version of a previously done thing, but none of it is trailblazing. And None of it is what I come to Star Trek for. So so that's really just my whole thesis on this season so far.
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna get the back five. Maybe the back five will just be banger after banger. Oh, you mentioned last week we had the titles for the episodes. Do you want to go over those? We kind of glossed over them last week. Real quick before we do that, let me just run down a couple things I want to mention.
Sure.
It was silly, but like from a lover of puppets and Muppets episode,
Yeah.
I did really like. I'm not a Federation captain. I'm a puppet captain. It just felt so like every Muppet movie or whatever. You know what I mean? Like just the way that the way that it embraced the puppetry of it all. I really enjoyed that. And another couple lines I really liked were this. I am a Vulcan puppet. I do not feel pain. Was a really enjoyable moment for me because it felt like the badassery of Miss Piggy. Like, like her lighting him on fire just felt so much like hi-ya without like actually going there. I thought that was pretty great. And then this again, it's just like it's like if I'm grading this, I can't decide whether I'm grading this on how it is for like a Muppet episode versus how it is for like a Star Trek episode. But I did from like if this were a Muppet movie, I really did like the line where Spock is being completely quiet and she's like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you speaking?" And Pike's like, "He's conserving oxygen." And it was just kind of like little well written, kind of like badass, punchy kind of puppet action sequences,
I'll tell you, one of the things that I laughed at was M'Benga squinting and grunting and then holding up the crochet needles.
Is that what those were?
That's what it looked like to
I
me.
thought they were pencils. And I was just like, because they're like yellow. I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was weird. I thought they were pencils, but it's got to be crochet needles. That's beautiful. I loved that. I loved M'Benga stabbing at him, and I thought that throughout the episode. I was like, yeah, you're Muppets, and I know that they don't want to go this dark, but like, get a knife. It's like, sure, you can't use the phasers because they're touchscreen, whatever. Okay, get a knife. Like, I thought that like halfway through the episode. Like, I know that like this is the puppet episode. We're probably not going to go to stabby. We're not going to go all Chucky on them, but like, go Chucky on them. If you're really in the situation.
Yeah.
Like, why they should have like been watching Child's Play in the background before they went into battle. Like, we have to learn how to fight like puppets, so that they could go watch Child's Play.
Yep.
Because it made no sense. The fact that they all attacked and like were just punching the Orions at the end, I was like, what do you do? Like that doesn't harm them. We've already discussed how that doesn't harm them. This makes no sense. But again, it's all a dream. It doesn't matter. Yeah. The last thing about this episode that I did really appreciate from a personal perspective was Spock is dealing with the logic versus emotions thing, of course, like he always is. But the one thing he was dealing with here that was, I thought, novel in this episode was he was dealing with overwhelm. And like, I deal with that a lot right now. My life is, I don't talk about it much on podcasts because it's not fun. But I'm dealing with a lot of family stuff right now. And it's just kind of like, I wake up and there's a lot of days where I don't get as much done as I want to. And I feel really frustrated. I feel really shameful about it. But it's because I wake up. It's like, oh, my mom needs this, and she lives downstairs, and so I go down and help her. My niece needs this. My wife needs this. She just got through cancer. Like, there's just a lot of shit going on in my personal life that keeps me running from person to person to person to person, and like it feels like I have to do all these things for people that they can't do for themselves. And so this episode being about Spock being the only one who could do things for people and their hands not working was weirdly connective to my life in a way that like has not, like was not expected. And they didn't really do anything with it, so that was kind of annoying, but like I did definitely feel for Spock and felt that overwhelm is like something that's very real and makes me shut down. And when he goes into the fight the Orions and he's like, well, I got to do this or this or this. What's he going to do? What am I going to do? I could approach her from this side or this side. And T'Pring has to snap him out of it. I've been there lately, like where I'm just completely cognitively shut down, where I cannot figure out my way through a problem because I've just done so much. I'm so overwhelmed. So good on the episode for touching on that. I kind of wish it'd been a little more meaty. Like I could see that as a serious episode, not just a puppet episode.
I get that. I get the overwhelmed thing anyway. I mean, I think it was like you when you realized that you were ADHD and you were like telling all of us about all of the all of the symptoms, and we were all like, "Oh no!"
Yeah. Years ago, I listened to a panel on a podcast, and they were talking about adult ADHD, and they were talking about how adult ADHD works, and it was this thing. They were talking about like how your brain works and how this and that, and I listened to it, and I was like, that's not ADHD. That's just how people work. That's just how thinking works. And then I went around asking a bunch of my friends, and they were like, no, I don't experience that at all. That sort of overwhelm, that sort of shame, that sort of this, that. And I was like, what? And like I realized as an adult, like, oh, I have that. And then I went on a little journey of self-discovery, trying to like, what are the mechanisms to help me with my ADHD? And I just already did all of them. I went through like a list of like 100 adaptations for ADHD, and I was like, oh, I just do all this stuff. This is just stuff I do in my life, little lists, little markers, little reminders, like the things that I do to keep myself on track. They were all things I already did, and that has been really tough with the stuff going on in my life right now, with the overwhelm, with the actual activities of life that are keeping me overwhelmed. That has made my ADHD way worse. I'm just cognitively like completely shut down. It's rough.
Yeah, as I remember it, you were telling Spencer about that, and Spencer was like, "Oh no!"
he was the one of
you
my
told
friends.
me about it.
Yeah,
you only told me about that because when you told me about it, I went, "Uh oh."
Yeah, exactly. You two were the two friends that I had talked to, and like we're definitely like most of the people I spoke about it with were like, "No, that's not a thing I experience at all." And you two were like, "Oh, yeah, that is something I experience." Like two of my closest friends, of course. So I guess birds of a feather.
Yeah, and I was just like, "Oh shit!" And then like you didn't even tell me all of it. I went down like the path. I was just like, "Oh fuck, this is a very real thing in my life.
Yeah,
like, this is horrendous." But at the same time, I'm not going through anything as bad as what you're going through. I don't think.
Everybody's pain and overwhelm is relative.
I've got some health issues going on, and I recently lost my dad, and now we're trying to move, and there's a lot of stuff going on right now. So yeah, I get it, feeling like wishing that they'd kind of touched on that more, but I feel like, and I'm just judging this based on what a good showrunner would do. So who knows what they're doing here.
Right.
But I think possibly what they're leaning into as the series winds down is reconciling Strange New World Spock with TOS Spock, who had decided to eschew humanity as much as he can and focus on logic because it helps him hone.
I agree.
I think that's what they're gonna do with that.
I agree, and I think and there could be something powerful there if they do it right. Because the thing I worry about, because the thing about Spock in the original series and throughout the movies, a lot of it is because of our human centric view of the world, and this goes for Data. This goes for a lot of characters. Sort of you're always rooting for him to become a little more human. You know what I mean? Like, at least that's the way the show treats it. Like, oh, he made a joke. He smiled when he saw Jim was alive. You know what I mean? Like, those moments where he lets a lot of emotion out. You're like, oh, he's experiencing emotion. That's great news. But it would be real. Like, I don't think they're going to do this because it's Strange New Worlds, and I don't think that they'll pull this off well. But how cool would it be if they had him recede into himself and conquer his emotions and start really like focusing on logic, and it was like it made him a better and more effective character.
I mean, that's what it would be because
Yeah.
that's what TOS was.
Right.
He was such a better character.
Sure. But like, I am worried that this show, because of our, human-centric way of thinking, I'm worried this show will treat it as like a almost dark ending where he's receding into himself and it's a bad thing, And in a way, it definitely there's pros and cons, and I just hope they don't like ignore the pros of like when you're overwhelmed and you're overwhelmed by your emotions and like life, and like sometimes it does take like building a construct around yourself that like allows you to function well.
There is something with, and I don't know how much Alex Kurtzman really has in as far as what he's got to say about like the character beats and everything. But when you look at 2009 Star Trek and the Kelvin timeline, there's something really interesting there about Spock's arc, where old Spock tells young Spock, maybe don't focus on logic as much as I did. And changes the course of young Spock's life.
Right.
In this timeline. And I'm trying not to get really weird and weepy myself. Because if you follow Spock's emotional and if you follow his arc through the original series, through 2009 Star Trek, and even to reunification, he had learned to embrace the Romulan people. He had learned to embrace emotions. He was cranky. He was, he had learned something about himself and about embracing both sides of himself and the blood of his cousins. And I think they could potentially find a way to do something really beautiful and show us that Spock was more open to being human, and possibly heartbreak and any number of things this overwhelm that we're talking about could force him into being like, no, this is who I need to be. And then as he gets older, over a century, he goes, maybe not. Maybe I was too quick to rush to that conclusion.
Right. And I think like there's also just something about there's a season for different types of things that you need in your life, and I just don't know. I'm curious how they'll handle it, and I guess maybe we're seeing the beginning of an arc with Spock, or maybe we're just getting a it's a puppet episode, so we need him to feel frazzled too, because he says the word frazzled in this episode, which I almost felt like was like a puppet word.
Oh yeah. I mean,
here on Frazzle Rock.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to do the same thing. Yeah. All right. Let's look at those episode titles, the upcoming episodes. We've got titles and a brief synopsis. Next week is Off Hour. An off-duty window becomes a warp emergency when the Enterprise is pushed beyond its safe limits. That sounds like a normal episode. That sounds like a Star Trek episode.
It does.
But then the next episode after that is Like Chronotons Through the Hourglass. A temporal anomaly traps the crew inside a soap opera reality while Pike confronts a life he lost. Then
it really is just ridiculous, man. The number of weird ass episodes, the ratio is so off. This is a Strange New Worlds. This is like weird, strange episodes. Fuck.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna take some big swings. Oh shit, we're canceled. All right, well, let's do 6 more. All right, so Orders of Magnitude is next. Starfleet commandeers the Enterprise for an alien pursuit that grows far beyond its original orders. Sounds more normal.
Yep, totally.
Sounds like a Star Trek. Once La'an a Time. La'an enters a genuine fantasy world where the fairy tale becomes a personal test of courage and control.
Yeah, okay. It's like,
and then
that kind of episode is a normal Star Trek episode, so I'm not saying it can't be, but it's also like, it's one of the silly ones. It's another one. Like, it's immediately...
It's gimmicky.
Yeah, it's immediately reminding me of... that's the thing. There's like a levels of silliness, and some of them are more acceptable than others, and like and some of them are more common than others throughout Star Trek. Like this, that seems to remind me more of like the Merry Men episode or whatever, like the Robin Hood episode or whatever, like where it's still kind of a Star Trek episode, but you're in this, or like, back in the day they do like a Western episode or whatever. It's still sort of like
Or Beverly Crusher fucks a ghost on a candle.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're weird ass episodes, and so this is not new to Star Trek. It's just the ratio that's off. So this might be a fine episode, but it's it definitely sounding gimmicky.
Yeah. Now the season finale, I am torn on this premise, man. It's called Tomorrow's Enterprise. A temporal crisis brings Pike's Enterprise face to face with the future Kirk will one day inherit.
Interesting.
I'm like, what is that? What does that mean?
I don't know, man.
Good God.
Like, I guess we're going to see all the people, we're going to see them try, I think, it sounds like, to embody the original series in as much as they can, and actually have the crew that's supposed to remain as the crew be those versions of themselves on the future Enterprise. It sounds like that's what we're going to get.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. We do have some feedback.
Sweet.
And some questions.
Questions?
Yeah.
No questions.
Okay.
I don't answer questions.
Sorry, Andre.
Just kidding. I answer questions.
Oh. All right. So, hopping back to last week, Sterling Gray wants to talk about that episode, the noir episode, as it were. Not a bad episode. I liked the story and the noir genre. I also think the actors did a good job, and we got a Strange New Worlds that looked like Batman the Animated Series. That's a good point. I'm okay with that. I thought it looked good. I feel like Kevin Conroy would have been a good Klingon voice. I agree. I didn't mind the in-universe reason for everything to be black and white. Sure, they could have just made the episode in black and white without providing a reason, and that would have been fine too. They didn't feel the need to explain the 1940s noir motif on the planet, so why explain the black and white? Well, it was sort of a noir motif, but also like there were alien elements to the outfits and stuff too. It was just, and then also they only usually spent a line to explain why some random planet looked like Nazi Earth or something in the original series. So
right.
Even though I'm always annoyed by it. The probe mystery in the ship was pointless. Pretty much.
Yep. Agreed.
I wish they explained why Una had a doppelganger. The way this show seems to go, I'm surprised the unexplained doppelganger wasn't of Kirk, just so they could shoehorn Paul Wesley into another episode.
That's so true.
Yep. Here's to hoping the next genre Strange New Worlds... what? Here's to hoping the next genre Strange New Worlds covers is Star Trek. Okay.
No, please. Please do that.
Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you, Sterling. Over to Andre Sparks. He sent us this article about Comic-Con where directors Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly were talking about how they had confirmed the script is in progress for the new Star Trek movie, and says we're very excited about it. I think people will be surprised. It won't be the characters that you've seen previously in the Star Trek movies, so there will be a new take on that. I think it'll probably be a little further into the future than we've seen before. So we don't know what that means. Does that mean like Beyond the Burn?
I doubt it. I think they probably
32nd century.
I think they probably mean after Picard.
But no characters that we've seen before. Okay, that's fine. Andre says, "Hey guys, I don't know if you talked about the news out of Comic-Con about new Trek, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. I don't know about this. What would you rather have? Kirk Year 1 movie with the TV cast, or a Kirk Year 1 show? Or Star Trek Legacy movie with Seven of Nine's crew, or a show? Are they fumbling here?" Yes, I think they're fumbling. I don't know. I'm personally a little confused about your question because the article isn't like proposing Kirk Year 1 in any format, nor is it bringing up Legacy. Maybe you're asking, do you think he's asking like, do we want
these shows instead
those
of,
or of, okay.
Instead of that is what I took, but yeah, it's a little awkwardly worded. I don't know what I want, honestly. I'm so Like Legacy sounded good to me, but mostly just because it sounded more like traditional Star Trek. But they're just doing such weird stuff with Strange New Worlds that it's making me, I don't know, unhappy.
I want Kurtzman and his crew out.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
I just want that to be done. I'm tired of this. Like, I loved Starfleet Academy, and I'm sorry that was... I hate that that's a casualty of it, but I'm overall pretty dissatisfied, I guess, in a lot of ways. And not for the common incel reasons. I don't want Kirk Year One in any format. I would love to have Legacy as a TV show or miniseries or whatever they want to do. Terry Matalas had said the plan was to really center the first season around Alexander and the Klingons. That sounds cool.
Yeah. I love the progression of the future of Star Trek and how the different relationships and political influences change and grow, and friendships between species grow, and rifts build and wars develop. Like, that kind of stuff was so much fun. And I just feel like it's an element of Star Trek that they don't do anymore. And it really bums me out.
Yep. I don't think a Star Trek movie or series, maybe a series, if you give it a small budget and let it grow, a Star Trek series with an unrecognizable set of characters might eventually succeed. But, if you throw tons of money at it and no one knows who any of them are, you get something closer to Starfleet Academy. A movie, though, with no set of a set of unrecognizable characters, I don't see it succeeding at all. I just don't. Like, they can barely get it to succeed with people we know. Star Trek doesn't have that swing to it. It doesn't have that big dick energy on it. Like, nobody cares. Marvel has trouble with that, for fuck's sake. Like,
yeah, lately.
I think you need some kind of like brand and character recognition. I mean, for Jesus Christ, like this. I mean, that's why we have RDJ coming back as Doctor Doom.
I agree with you. I think that like the problem is making a movie. Like I worry this won't succeed for sure. Like there's very few just sci-fi movies that are successful without being tied closely to a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or to characters, and again, like you said with Marvel, like I think it's a long conversation we could have, but like, and I have had many times on the MCU cast, but I think that
as far as I'm concerned, we've been having this conversation for 37 years, but
yeah, for sure. But well, this specific one of the big problems I think with Marvel is you're not going to be your first movie in a series is not really going to be profitable. At least big time. As long as they're spending the budgets they are. Shang-Chi, amazing movie. People loved it. Not that profitable.
Didn't make its money back, or not as much as
the
it should have.
Second movie would have been profitable. I truly believe that. They just got scared and didn't make it. They did the same thing with the Eternals. That was a little more questionable because I think Eternals was less beloved than Shang-Chi, but I think even the Eternals, if they had done another movie, I think with the perspective of 2 or 3 years later and those characters coming back and being excited for the characters and what they're doing and them being out in space and all this stuff, I think Eternals 2 would have killed. Like, and we did a big breakdown on MCUcast a few years ago of like budgets and stuff, and or of budgets and how much a first movie made and how much second movie made. The first Captain America made like $300-400 million. Like basically every first movie of a franchise made $300 or $400 million, except for a few notable exceptions in the middle of that like crazy height of Endgame fervor, like Captain Marvel and I think like Doctor Strange maybe. Like there are a couple of them that like did really good on their first outing. Most Marvel movies, their first movie makes $300-400 million. Their second movie makes $700 or $800 million, and then it's not until because you have to know who the character is. So like a lot of people don't go see it in theaters. They see it when it drops on Disney Plus or when it's for sale on VOD or whatever, and like that's when these movies. So transposing that to Star Trek, if you make a movie that's a really killer sci-fi movie that like has enough of the Star Trek in it, you keep the budget closer to 100 million instead of 400 million, you will probably make your money back. You're not going to make a lot of money though on your first outing. The second one is where you're going to make your money. Like, if you can make a great movie. If the movie sucks, you're not going to make more money anyway. But, like, make a good movie, invest in the time and money to make a movie and create characters people love and a situation people are excited about, and then make the second movie.
And I've been a very strong advocate for this way of looking at it. Star Trek is not, and no matter how hard they try to, it is not Star Wars.
Right.
Keep that shit 50 to 70 million, make it a low budget affair. You don't have to have these giant spectacle effects and everything. Like, they were shoestringing it on the original series, and most of that holds up surprisingly well. Let the audience's imagination do a lot of the work on what is happening. Oh my God, I'm not saying like they should actually like do like special effects from TOS, but I am saying like they need to cut it down.
They do,
because Star Trek is just not Star Wars.
You just don't need the rush or the crazy budgets if you plan it well. So many of these like more independent films that are given to like really strong directors with good special effects chops, like they'll be lower budgets and look better than anything that Marvel or Star Wars put out. You know what I mean?
Star Trek needs to be on that A24 tip, y'all.
Right. Like, if they could make an A24 Star Trek movie, I'd be 100% down with that.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish they'd given Star Trek to Noah Hawley a few years ago when that was discussed or whatever. That is what I'd like to see. I mentioned earlier the shows that I am absolutely loving right now. Another one would be Fargo and Alien Earth. Awesome. Freaking awesome shows. So, like, I am really, like, excited for certain creators and give Ben Stiller a Star Trek movie. Like, that would be amazing. Like, he loves it. He made Cable Guy and was referencing it way back then, you know? And he's making Severance now. Like, get somebody like that that's like a really strong visioned auteur and let them work. I would like them to stay in canon as best they can, but at this point, the canon is so messy. Like, I'm almost okay with a break and just do something new with Star Trek, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's where our anthology series featuring Wesley Crusher in the role of Rod Serling comes in.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what, importantly, I think that's where Star Trek lives. I think Star Trek needs to be a TV show. And they said that they were actively trying to figure out what they were going to do for the next Star Trek series. They want to do a new Star Trek series. The head of Paramount Plus is actively trying to figure it out, she says. So, it's not like I've seen a lot of fans going on about how Ellison came in and killed all of TV Trek because they wanted to do it in the movies and they didn't want it competing with TV. That's not what's happening at all. They were wanting to get rid of Kurtzman, I think. That seems to be what's happening.
I do worry about the Ellisons of it all because of their political leanings. Honestly, like, the Ellisons can't do much worse to Star Trek's politically than Strange New Worlds is doing.
I mean, it's just making Star Trek a joke.
Exactly. It, like, none of the, like, high-minded concepts of the Federation that, like, people have believed in for 50 years and, like, this vision of the future that almost is like a religion to people. Like, none of that shit is in this show at all. Like, for at least for the last 2 seasons. So I feel like at this point it's pretty hard to think about it getting worse, unless it just goes full on like right wing Star Trek, which would not succeed for sure. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I just feel like Star Trek's in a real dark place, and I wish it weren't.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it feels like these showrunners are like fans of the original series, but also felt like a few of the wackier aspects of the original series made them go, whoa, we have carte blanche to just do whatever the hell we want because none of this shit makes any sense. And I'm like,
right.
No.
That's not how it works. It's not how it works. So
we ignore those episodes.
Did we answer the question? I feel like we don't know what we want.
I know my problem is I know very very precisely what I want, and they're never going to give it to me, so I'm not. There's no way they can go inside of my mind and just make whatever I want. And also, most of the fans don't want what I want either. Like, ideas that I've had and have bounced off of other fans online and stuff, like, I always get resounding, like, you're crazy, you shouldn't, that would be terrible. So, like,
yeah,
I recognize that I'm weird.
I think I could figure out what I would write. But honestly, talking about the creators that I am loving right now, with like Pluribus and Severance and these shows that I wish Star Trek were on the edge of,
Vince is a Star Trek fan.
Oh, see Vince doing Star Trek. I think Vince Gilligan doing Star Trek would be one of the best possible things. He just looking at Pluribus, like, that is a amazing Star Trek concept, or that's an amazing high concept sci-fi thing.
It's like, yeah, motherfucker, how do you get in your color code with the characters when they're all wearing uniforms?
Yeah. And imagine Vince Gilligan, like, doing In the Pale Moonlight, or like handling a Star Trek war, or like handling those kinds of politics, and handling the kinds of things the characters are making those decisions like he does so well. Yeah. Anyway, Vince Gilligan, Noah Hawley, Ben Stiller, they're probably not going to do it because of the place the brand is right now. But if any of them love Star Trek and you're listening to this, go volunteer. Fix this universe. Like, I would say, like, I know what I would write in the Star Trek universe, but those three creators or someone like them would do something better than I'm envisioning. And what I want from Star Trek is something that will blow my mind. That's what I want from Star Trek. I want something from Star Trek that I can't predict. The best TV right now is stuff that is just like, you can't predict where it's going because it's new. It's blazing new trails. And that's what Star Trek has been in so many of its formats. Original series, TNG, and DS9 all like push the boundaries, and then I don't think anything has pushed the boundaries since.
Yeah, I mean, my idea is, like, the first thing I would do if I was in charge was I would make an anthology show, bare bones budget, no lead cast, only Will Wheaton. As sort of our, Rod Serling type of character, or Crypt Keeper type of character,
sure,
who introduces, as, two new recruits or whatever, different stories from the multiverse. And you just get these vignettes, these stories that are incredibly informative about the universe, and fill holes in canon, possibly, tell interesting character stories. And then that's also a way to get celebrities who love Star Trek in for a quick, low-cost starring vehicle in a Star Trek story.
Yeah.
And then move on. You don't have to worry about all these enormous contracts.
Yeah, somewhere between Twilight Zone and Black Mirror, but in like a Star Trek. In the Star Trek universe. I'm down with that idea. I love that idea. Like, it would blaze new trails, and it would be interesting in Star Trek. I don't know that it would, like, it is so based on how they, whether it's something I'd be interested in is all going to be episode based, unfortunately, because it's an anthology. Like, same thing with all these other anthologies. It's like, the great episodes are great and the bad episodes are bad. And, like, the thing about an anthology is, like, a bad episode is not carried by the interest in the characters. You know what I mean? Like, so then you end up with these episodes like, oh, this isn't a very interesting episode, and it's characters I don't care about. And so now I'm disinterested. You really you'd have to bring somebody in, like a creator, like we're talking about, who could, like, just figure out how to hook people for every episode. You really have to do the work of, like, making a movie every week. And so I think it's a great idea. I just think it would be a really big task that you'd just, again, need a really killer creator for.
Yeah. It would be tough.
Yeah.
But I think it would be the most interesting as a Star Trek fan to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think you run the risk. Like, no offense to you, I love you, Dave. If you were making this show, I think you run the risk of making it for Star Trek fans and nobody else, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it would be like a great time for us because we could we could play in that world and we could get all kinds of fun stuff. But as much as I want what I want from Star Trek, I also want Star Trek to grow. And I want it to be something more than I want it to be. More than I don't want it to go back and make great DS9 episodes. I want to make whatever the next best thing is in Star Trek.
Yeah. And I want that too. It's, don't get that twisted. I want that too. But I think, honing in on what makes Star Trek special philosophically is really important. And I think weirdly, even though it was dark as fuck, Twilight Zone was the perfect vehicle for doing exactly that.
100%.
And was absolutely the natural, predecessor of Star Trek. Because that's all the original series was these for the most part were these very contained morality plays with big twists and big swings.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's how you get back into that world. And maybe it's not as popular. It's just hard because it's Star Trek and people don't care about Star Trek.
Right. Just the
Unless
people who
they're
do.
fans.
I think you got to make a show that is interesting regardless of the universe. Like TNG. People checked out TNG because they remembered they had fond memories of Star Trek, but people didn't become fans of TNG because they were fans of Star Trek necessarily. People became fans of TNG because it was every week on your TV and it was a good show and the characters were intriguing and it was a new setting and obviously you carried over the Star Trek fans, but you got a lot. My parents watched Star Trek every week, TNG, and they weren't big Star Trek fans. They had those weird affection for it from knowing about it from their youth, and then they watched it every week, and that hooked me as a kid watching it with them every week.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of people say that's what Star Trek is missing is the 24, 26 episode format. But I'll tell you this. If it's not good, that doesn't help it.
Oh yeah,
and,
I wasn't talking about
there,
it being a lot of episodes. I don't think we're going back to that.
But I mean, we had 22 to 24 episodes on all these CW DC shows, and if it's not written well, it's not going to do well. It's just not.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we got more feedback.
We got one more from Stu.
Stu.
His email is titled "I felt that."
Good one.
And then in parentheses, he says in the body of the text, puppets are made of felt. Thanks, Stu.
Yeah, well, last week we didn't get whatever joke he made at the beginning, and so I think he's just he's trying to let us know.
Well, he says some obscure stuff sometimes that we just don't remember,
Yeah.
We say a lot of shit. We do a lot of podcasting.
Indeed.
Not going to remember everything, Stu. Sorry. Anyway, he says, hello. All right, let's get this over with. Given he's the cause of all this should have been the Scotty-focused episode instead of the Hangover one. Okay. Just once can Spock have a breakup that's got an over-the-top screaming and shouting argument. I know that's not logical for him, but this is the third time one's happened in 4 seasons, so I think a bit of variety would be in order. I can see it. I don't think it would feel good for me though.
Yeah, I really like as much as obviously it can be a little less dramatic to have this kind of a breakup. I really like these kinds of breakups on television. I think I like it being normalized.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because Peck did a really good job of showing the pain on his face.
Yeah, for sure.
Without going over the board or anything. Stu says, I knew Pelia would be in this one. As someone who generally doesn't mind her, at least I can enjoy your hating asses being further put out by it. By the way, did you notice that she was barefoot as a puppet?
No. That's funny.
Yeah.
I thought that Pelia was the best part of this episode.
I was just I don't know, mid-level annoyed by her.
Like the way they built her puppet was just very funny to me. And so every time she's on screen and she already has such a puppet-like voice, like it was just great.
Mhm.
It was funny to be like, it was almost like them acknowledging like we already have a puppet on the show every week.
Yeah, they totally did. I admired their restraint with her because they had a line in there where they were like, "Oh well, after all these years of being alive, this is the first time you're a puppet."
Yeah,
I immediately expected her to be like, "Oh no, once I was a puppet when I was traveling with my doctor friend." I just like I knew it was coming and it didn't, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
yeah, that's funny.
thank God." It's like, what are y'all building over here? A Doctor Who spinoff where Palia's a puppet? What? Anyway, why do they have to wait 2 days for a ship to come? Aren't they in relative proximity to Vulcan? Shouldn't the science nerd people who wouldn't mock them due to their lack of a sense of humor be asked for help with this instead of risking longer term effects from not dealing with the problem sooner? I don't know.
Yeah, they're also
Dream logic.
they say it. Yeah, it's a dream is the problem. Sometimes I think Stu tends to write these while he's watching the episode.
He does,
because a lot of
I
times
think.
he doesn't know. He doesn't realize things till the end. But I think yeah, that's just a dream logic. But also at the beginning of the episode, they say they're trying to transport something further than ever transported, but like that still means they're close. You know what I mean? Like however far that is. It's closer than normal. Like they're not that far away. They're trying to transport there.
Mm-hmm. Stu says this episode might actually be funny in a dry way if instead of doing predictable Muppet shit. Jesus, Stu. They just played it like a totally serious ethical drama where they debated if it would be better to let people remain puppets due to all the health benefits. Also, the fact La'an's arm just fell off was a missed opportunity when they could have contrived a situation where Spock is pulling on her arm and accidentally ripped it off instead. Yeah, okay.
Maybe in one of their dance classes.
That's what I want to know. Like, in the dream, did he fuck Puppet to Pring?
It seemed like he did. It seemed like that was the dream he was actually having, was like a weird puppet dream where he ended up fucking Puppet to Pring.
Do these puppets have the handhole?
I didn't seem like it. I really liked April on the screen being like, "Who's controlling you?" No one's controlling me. We're all controlling ourselves.
Okay, I thought that Orion was going to twist Una's head off when she attacked him. We already know she had survived that. And then, okay, they did it with Palia at least.
Yeah.
Yep. No, Chapel, you don't have 4 fingers. You have 3 fingers and a thumb. How did you pass medical school?
I was actually wondering with all the puppet harm. I was wondering what happens to them once they get back into human form. Like, will La'an's shoulder hurt? You know, will Palia have a scar? And then I wondered about the ensign, who I don't know if we got a name for, who got a hole blown through him.
Yeah,
I was really wondering if like, how does that happen when you get turned back into a human? Are you just completely have a hole through you? And then it made me wonder, will they keep him a puppet? like maybe they just keep that one guy a puppet because it's the only way he'll survive.
I mean, do they keep a copy of everyone in the transporter buffer?
Well, that's a thing that they could always do. That would make that's like its own Black Mirror episode if everyone's kept in the pattern buffer. Or what's that show? It reminds me a lot of Altered Carbon, where you have a backup of yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Altered Carbon's really good. Altered Carbon, have you seen that?
Nah,
it's really good. You'd love it. Some really good actors in it, and it's all about basically a universe where you can re-sleeve yourself into a new sleeve, a new body, but your consciousness is backed up every day or something like that. And when you get killed, if you're rich enough, basically you can afford backup bodies. And so it's like they call them, oh gosh, what do they call them? Meths, like Methuselahs. Basically, I think that's right. They call them meths. Like the billionaire class basically becomes immortal because they can always afford to back themselves up to the cloud, and they can always get put in new bodies and new bodies and new bodies. And like it's kind of the concept of the whole show is this like inequality thing with like people that can live forever versus people that can't, and like he's like a kind of your main character's like kind of a detective and sort of guy, very noir. Like it's really good, really really good show.
Okay, does it have an ending?
I think it only has 2 seasons, and they're both self-contained. With different. It's kind of Doctor Who-ish in this way, where oh gosh, I'm trying to look up the cast because I think it's Kinnaman maybe is the
okay.
What weird. Yeah, I think it's Kinnaman from the DC universe. What's his first name?
Joel,
I think it's Joel maybe, who's Joel Kinnaman plays the main character, Takashi Kovacs, who apparently was originally a Japanese man in the first episode, but he gets murdered and then gets put into Joel Kinnaman's sleeve. And I think it's something like, yeah, anyway, it's very good. And then the second season is Anthony Mackie taking over the same character. So it's sort of like he gets re-sleeved into a new body, and that body has to do with the next mission, sort of thing. So it's really great concept, and it's the kind of thing like you were talking about. They could always bring in different actors and stuff, but I think it only went 2 seasons, but they're both really good.
All right, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. I remember hearing people talk about how it was good.
Yeah,
maybe you.
We podcasted about it like in the early days when we were first starting the network. That was really good.
Cool. Stu says, I just want to remind you that this takeover of the ship would have been avoided if they'd asked the Vulcans to come help and or escort them. All right.
Yeah.
But dream logic.
Stu
says, I do like this scene of Spock getting advice from Joe Latruglio. Oh, Joe Latruglio Ryan. There it is.
Yeah, it's good.
The scene has no puppets, oddly enough.
Yeah, like I said, funniest episode in the episode. Didn't have any puppets.
Best thing. Okay, Pike, but how did you get back to the ship with the fact objects moving in space don't stop on their own? Also, Pike asking how to get out of the room just makes me question how he got into the room in the first place. If they'd somehow opened a window, wouldn't they have all been sucked out? Well, blown out, I think.
Same thing.
Well, people always bring that up. Like, oh, no, actually.
Well, you're still a vacuum. Like literally, it's a vacuum. Vacuums suck. Like the item, but also like if a it's sucked and blown is just too. It's a differential of pressure on either side being normalized. It doesn't really have anything to do with one sucking versus one blowing. I think that's a silly, pedantic thing that isn't real.
How?
I've never heard this argument, and I just find it bad.
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know. I've heard it all my life.
Weird.
By all my life, I mean, I don't know, since I was like 8 or 9.
So often I find me and you are on just like different corners of the internet, at least. like where they're having arguments about blown out versus sucked out, and I'm like, hey, I don't know. It's just funny. Like, yeah. Almost every week we get on the show, you're like, the internet's saying this, and I'm like, I haven't heard any of that. It's just we're on different internets, bud.
Let me see. I wonder if my Google is just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Are you searching sucked out or versus blown out?
I said, do you get sucked out or blown out into space? Okay, you are blown out, not sucked out. Space is a vacuum, meaning it has zero pressure. A vacuum does not pull or suck on things. Instead, the pressurized air and gas inside a spaceship push outward with great force because high pressure always moves toward low pressure. When a hole opens, the escaping air rushes out and pushes you along with it. That's
exactly what I said. It normalizes the pressure, but calling it blown versus sucked, I don't know. Like, that's the point of a vacuum creates the suction that pulls it out. It's 2 words for the same thing. I disagree with this. There might be a scientific correct answer, and that might be correct, but like, I just think it's a stupid argument. It's like it's just a normal.
Right.
It's a normalization of pressure.
I was just being cheeky, man. I don't fucking know or care.
I've just never heard this argument, and it annoys me.
Stu says absurdity is kind of baked into the premise. Fuck you too, writers. That's how I felt. I did not expect to see Mbenga stabbing a guy in the dick with a needle. That's not how life support works. There would still be a breathable air for a while.
Yeah, they would have had to like actually blow the air out of the room.
Or suck it out of the room. Yeah. Let's see. Stu says it doesn't make sense how there's sound in general in space, but I'm glad that line was included. And then in all caps, oh, what a load of horse shit. Not only is a dream explanation a lazy cop out, it isn't even internally consistent with the fact that there are scenes in the episode that are playing out without Spock being a part of them. Well, he's just imagining it.
Yeah. You can have a dream where you're not there.
I have them all the time. I find myself to be the most boring character.
Yeah.
In my entire life.
Ooh, I have to follow me in my normal life. Why would I follow me in my dream?
Mm-hmm. I literally had a dream the other day where like people were talking shit about me, and then like I found out I knew about it though, and I was like, I came in, I was like, what the fuck? You were talking about me. And they're like, how do you know? And I was like, I don't know. And that was a strange bit before I woke up and was like, oh, that's how. Stu says, okay, to be completely fair to it as a single episode, because it being another gimmick episode and a season full of them is a separate reason to dislike it. You know, at this point, a real episode of Star Trek would be a gimmick from the show. It wasn't all that bad, but it wasn't very surprising in what it did. This is a drawback of using a premise that was already famously done in Angel. So it's not got as much novelty. Musical episodes are more overdone, but there's at least room for variation in them due to different musical genres and other touches, like when Fringe did a musical detective tale done as a bedtime story. I had forgotten about that. Damn it, Stu.
Yeah, I did too.
This is an episode for the easily amused people. Jesus. Okay. This is an episode for the easily amused people who tweet shit like Una doing karaoke in Klingon is giving me life, or who think Maddie Sin from She-Hulk is the greatest comedic character the MCU ever produced. Furthermore, would it have been possible for the puppets to have a more unique aesthetic than just being Jim Henson style? I did like that the Orion captain was an actual ruthless threat, and Latruglio was good as the comedic second. Though since the characters technically don't exist, I don't know how much that's worth. Being a dream, which got them off the hook from even trying to explain how all of this was possible, at least Subspace Rhapsody involved a quantum probability field. Oh, and Spock went through another breakup too. I genuinely hope he has no other romantic relationships for the rest of the series.
Yeah. Sounds like he's getting back with T'Pring. Like that's going to be the main thing from now.
Mm-hmm.
You said Maddie Sin. Madison. Sorry. I just from She-Hulk. I
didn't remember the character.
No, it's fine. I just didn't remember when you said Maddie Sin. I was like, who? Who from She-Hulk? Madison.
I guess it would be Madison.
Madison was the character who came. She was like just like a party girl, and she ended up showing up with Wong a couple of times. She was very funny. I like Madison. I think she's great. But
I don't remember. I loved She-Hulk as a series though. So
yeah, me too. Madison was great, but definitely an overstatement to say she's the best.
Mm-hmm.
It is probably one of the harder times I've laughed in the MCU. Not because she's the most amazing, but like it's just the tone is so different there, you know?
Yeah. I think the hardest I laughed in the MCU was when Tony died. in Endgame. That was...
Why?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Don't worry.
Speaking of the MCU, and it's got its Star Trek connection here. Terry Metalis' Vision Quest dropped its first trailer. Have you seen it?
Oh, of course not.
Okay. It's pretty cool. It was pretty...
I can't keep up, man.
It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. First trailer dropped this week. I'm excited about it. Comes out in October.
Yeah. I might be caught up on his story enough to watch that.
Have you seen WandaVision?
Yeah.
Then you are caught up on his story. Okay. The only thing you might want to watch is Agatha All Along. Very good.
Okay.
Very good, and fairly short.
Mm-hmm.
Low commitment, but it's probably worth watching because I think they're going to do some stuff with some things from that in this. I think.
I like Aubrey Plaza. So.
Yeah. Oh, she's great. She's great in it. All right. Well, we'll be back soon, guys. Thanks for writing in, Stu. Thanks everybody for writing in. We'll be back with lots of Star Trek talk next week. We got 5 more episodes of this, and 2 of them seem like Star Trek episodes, so that's exciting. We'll spend the next 5 weeks of our lives talking about Star Trek that isn't Star Trek more. Yeah. It makes me mad because I don't like watching Star Trek and podcasting about it when I feel like all I'm doing is sitting here criticizing it. It's not what I want it to be. Mm-hmm. It just makes me annoyed because I'm not a negative podcaster. Like, I really like to podcast about things I really enjoy. And so I want to keep talking about Star Trek because I love it so much. And then every week when they put these things on, I'm just like, I just want this to be something I can be excited about, and it's so not, and it really does. It pisses me off that they're like taking this thing that I enjoy so much and making it something that I have to be like annoyed to, or like I don't even feel annoyed. I feel annoying. Like, I don't like being a complainer all the time.
I feel like at this point we might want to record like a little bit for the beginning of the episode that's just like, hi, regardless of our thoughts of this episode, if you loved it, we are happy for you.
Yeah. Because that is a thing I truly feel, but
yeah. Like if you love this episode, like, Stu's opinions don't reflect ours. Like, he seems like mad as shit about people enjoying this. Look, if you're loving, I'm just fucking with Stu. But if you enjoy the shit, I love it. I'm glad for you. I wish I could find it within myself to, strap on the whimsy. And I can, I think.
Yeah.
To some degree, but there are certain lines, and then sometimes it's just not a thing I enjoy. So, I apologize out there for anyone who was hanging on my opinion of Star Trek and found it wanting.
Well, we'll talk to you guys next week. This is a downer of an ending. Joel Untrue.
Live long and puppet. Star Trek Universe is produced by Matthew Carroll and David C. Robertson. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out all of his podcasts at strandedpanda.com, and go look for his music by searching Matthew Carroll wherever you get music. He did the theme for this show. Find out more about Effie Ophelders and her writing at euphemia.ophelda.rs. And if you want more of me, David C. Robertson, you can find links to my other podcast, DC On Screen, my poetry, short stories, photography, artwork, and my free all-encompassing weekly/semi-weekly newsletter at davidcrobertson.com. All links are in the show notes. If you'd like to reach out and have your voice heard, email us StarTrekUcast@gmail.com.